Bit of maths, there we are. Gab Marcotti's here. Oh,
hey,
you are, Gab, what's in there?
hydrated.
Is it water?
A very hydrated Gab Marcotti.
Oh, yeah, very
I
much
do think
so.
that could be a little sly gin and tonic.
Why not? Hey,
Well, why not? Well, it's live on air.
This time of night, it's extra time, anything goes. Look, Robbo's put his T-shirt on.
With a stripe.
Nice, isn't
Yeah,
it?
very, very...
Robbo, he looks as if he's dribbled down his shirt.
Be a big dribble, wouldn't it?
A lot of dribble.
There we go. How you been, Gab? I feel like I haven't spoken to you for a while. What's going on?
All good, all good. Plugging along, enjoying. We have the big Gab and Jules draft coming up on Thursday. I know you're all NFL fans. It's the NFL draft is of course coming up. So we're counter-programming by drafting the best players born in the year 2002.
Any truth in the rumour that he's drafting Jules somewhere away? He's drafting Jules for...
Who was born in 2002, Gab? Who's going to be in the mix? Who in 2002? What year is that?
Well, in the mix, you've got players like Cole Palmer, Pedri, Camavinga, Jeremy Doku, Josko Gvardiol. And there's kind of a drop-off after those guys. But we got the help of Tor Christian Carlson, of course, former scout director of football, and analytics guru Ryan O'Hanlon. The four of us will be competing to see who can put together the best draft.
Is Craig's invited on as well?
No.
Oh, okay.
We couldn't afford Craig.
Okay, well, sounds right up your street.
I almost amazed. I have to say,
Craig should stop talking.
Who decided it was 2002, Gab?
Well, the idea is all these players are all 21 or 22, right? So this is the third year that we've done it. We started with a class of with players born in 2000, and we went for that because at 21, 22, that's when if they were playing U.S. sports, they'd be seniors in college and coming out and coming into the draft. But also because I think at that age you've got a mix of players who've already achieved a lot, and also players who, maybe are kind of later developers. And so presumably there's a skill in identifying those guys, especially in the later rounds.
Detailed explanation.
Yes.
Do you remember recently the website did a top 39 players,
Yeah.
top 43, a top 100,
Top 39.
37 and a half?
Right.
Who comes up with that?
I don't know. Craig,
Why not the top 39?
who do you think deserves more praise? Arteta signing Havertz or Havertz reviving his career?
Well, I go back to what I say. I think Havertz is still Jekyll and Hyde to me. I mean, it was better today as it went on, not early on. But I mean, ultimately, if he didn't revive his career, Arteta revived it for him. Put it one way: if Mikel Arteta hadn't paid, or Arsenal hadn't paid 70 million, I don't think there would have been many others would have been fishing in that pond with that kind of money.
No, but it is working out well, Robbo.
It is at the moment, but you remember at the start of the season when he was playing, they were trying to play him in central midfield on the left-hand side of that midfield three. The crowd didn't like it. He was getting a lot of stick off the Arsenal crowd. He wasn't playing particularly well. He looked way off the pace. He couldn't defend, but he's played better when he's been in the centre-forward position. So, it's working for him at the moment. But I agree with Craig. He's been Jekyll and Hyde, really.
You could call it lucky or not lucky, but let's be honest about it. As Robbo said, he bought him to play in this midfield three, which he has done now and again, and he could do against the weaker teams. It's worked okay. Against the better teams, not so much. And we all sat here in the summer and said, nah, that's not going to work as a midfielder. And so in that sense, the experiment hasn't worked. What's fell into place for him is that Gabriel Jesus and Eddie Nketiah, but more so Gabriel Jesus, he's either been injured or out of form.
Yeah. He's keeping them both out of the team now, isn't he?
So he's needed somebody, and he's got somebody that can go and play in that front three. Now, that's not initially the reason he bought him, but that's where he's best.
Yeah.
So in that sense, it's worked out for him.
And they could win the league with it.
Absolutely.
Gab, do Chelsea need to hire a new manager this summer? The lack of any real progress this season has been shocking.
What do you mean lack of real progress? You heard Pochettino when he came out and he said that the analytics show that Chelsea are actually fourth in the Premier League table.
Wait, you like analytics? You can't mock the analytics.
Oh, God.
I like real analytics, not just kind of very sort of superficial thing where like, you know, the nerd comes out of the basement and says, "Don't worry, boss, we're the fourth best team in the Premier League." The analytics say so. I mean,
Give him a promotion.
look, he's had an absolute ton of mitigating circumstances this season, right? An absolute ton, as has Erik ten Hag, by the way. However, I think you still, with Chelsea, what's really frustrating is it really does feel like one step forward and two steps back week after week. Amazingly, they have 8 points more than they had last season, so I guess you could call that progress.
Wow.
Obviously, they've had a bunch of injuries, but what would really, really concern me is that Chelsea's best player by a country mile was signed on the last day of the transfer window, and that would be Cole Palmer. And that, to me, speaks, I don't know, it doesn't speak well of this whole planning and everything that they talk about if they have to go and kind of conjure a guy out of thin air. Because I'll tell you what, Cole Palmer's not there for Chelsea. They're in the bottom half of the table, no doubt about it. Maybe even closer to the relegation zone than the top half of the table.
Gav, you got a lot of Chelsea fans who are friends. What do they make of all of this?
It's funny because, you know, there's obviously people are frustrated with Pochettino when they have games like this, and they like him when they have games like the one against Everton. But there is a ton of frustration towards the owner. I mean, Todd Bowley's been seen as this kind of cartoon character, right? He's got kind of the little sort of like jock attitude and wrestler's build, and people mock Chelsea because of the money they spent. And the communication, I think, has been really, really poor in the sense that the only person who talks is Pochettino, and I don't think that's healthy for people to understand. The direction the club are trying to go in. All that said, I did speak to one of those analytic super scouts guys at another club who told me actually the players they signed were the players that everybody would have wanted to sign. They're the players that Liverpool and City and whatever else would have signed. They just wouldn't have signed them at those prices, at those numbers. And I think that's another problem too, because they're going to have issues with profit and sustainability regulations. But this guy who makes a living off of spotting young talent said, yeah, most of these guys they brought in, many of them are going to be really, really good. It's just that, you know, we wouldn't have paid 80 or 100 million for them, or 40 million, or whatever it is that they paid for them.
Who do your friends support, Robbo?
Most of them West Ham, actually.
West Ham. Don't pretend you have friends.
Well, three's enough, isn't it? Yeah.
203.
All
203
three
is most.
support West Ham. And they used to love Xhaka. They said he was their top goalkeeper. Only Les Seeley was better.
I like Robbo's friends.
There's a lot of Havertz stuff in here. All right. Should Arsenal keep Havertz as number one striker after going into next season? Let's talk about something else in this question, Robbo. Arsenal, who else should they... let me just run it. Where else should they upgrade besides left back?
Where should they upgrade? I'm not sure there are too many places they could upgrade. If they want to play Rice as a more forward midfield, I think they could have an upgrade on Jorginho. They could have a more athletic player. Thomas Partey's had his time. He's been injured a lot, but I still don't think he's a top-class player that makes Arsenal be at the very top week in, week out. Jorginho, has done well, but I think they can do better than him. We'll get a really good, strong defensive player that can also play. And at centre-forward, they're the two areas that I think they need strengthening. Because as Craig said in the show, Martinelli has his good days and his bad days, and then Trossard comes in. Left back, that might be an issue. Tomiyasu played today. They've had Zinchenko, Kivior, so maybe a top quality left back. They're the areas.
There you go. Gab, why are you angry? What's happened?
Well, other than the ritual disrespect for my man Jorginho. No, I just want to remind everybody that Arsenal spent a ton of money on a guy who they thought was going to be their left back this season, and that's Jurrien Timber. I have no idea And he just came back to training. I have no idea.
He's got a
if when he
great
comes
goal in the
back,
reserves.
He's going to. I don't know if he's actually a viable left back going forward. Maybe because he's more, I think, of a defensive left back than what Zinchenko brings. I mean, that comes down to what Arteta wants. I would throw in center back if you're going to use Timber as a left back, just because to me it looks pretty thin once you get past Saliba and Gabriel.
Craig, thoughts on Havertz celebrating against his old club?
Great.
Yeah.
There you are.
I'm not Craig.
Yeah.
But,
Why not?
Yeah.
They were. I tell you what, Chelsea fans would be. I'm sure they weren't too displeased when he left.
No.
I'm sure they're.
Yeah.
They were pretty happy that he scored the goal in the Champions League final and all that. But yeah, he needed to go and find something different in his career. And who's to blame him for moving from this sort of off-the-cuff shambles to a club that is, at least whether we think Arteta's the greatest thing since sliced bread or not, he's gone into a much better side, isn't he? He's gone into a structure, and at least that structure is at least giving him a chance on a more consistent basis.
Burley, you've been involved in both of these. What's more nerve-wracking, being in a title race or a relegation battle?
Well, depends where you are. If you lose the title, you're going. I mean, at Celtic, oh my God. Wow.
I've also been involved in both. I go relegation battle.
It's more nerve-wracking.
Yeah, because you're in a bad team.
Because financially you're going to get hit. Yeah?
No, because you're in a bad team.
Contract's going to.
Because you're in a bad. No, because you're in a bad team.
Do you know, I'm not sure, because I remember, obviously, but sometimes you're in a relegation battle, all you can do is what you can do.
Right.
And you've got a limited amount of tools, and it is nerve-wracking. I know, and it is, and you're fighting and you're scrapping every week and looking at the fixtures. But when you're at the top of the league, as I was with Celtic, or joint top with Rangers, and it went to the last day of the season, you're now under pressure because, for our example, we could have won it in the second last day and dropped points. And then there's that feeling of you've thrown it away,
right,
or you're going to throw it away, and then there's that pressure.
So you're more about what's going on the pitch as opposed to your bank balance and your contract thing.
Why is that your focus?
It's all about money. It's always money.
Let me tell you, Dan, Xhaka was never worried about relegation because 4 weeks from the end of the season, him and his agent were phoning every Premier League club up saying, I'm free, I'm available. If we go down, I'll come to you for anything. That's what Xhaka was like. Selfish.
Was it Jonathan Barnett? Was that
Jonathan Barnett is my agent.
Jonathan Barnett for a while. He was, of course, Gareth Bale.
You still use somebody? I see somebody swanning around the building here.
No, you mean no for my ESPN business? No,
my ESPN business.
Jonathan. So who do you use for your vacations?
That's what am I doing?
Gab, will Juventus reclaim the Scudetto anytime soon?
I think not for a while. I think that it looks like they may have to sell one of their saleable assets this summer. There's big question marks over Chiesa's fitness, and I don't think they're going to do it if Allegri sticks around, and that seems to be the case. Going forward, who knows? I mean, Inter are still financially a bit of a mess, even though they were able to refinance. I think Milan are on the right track, but now they're thinking of changing managers again because Stefano Pioli's under pressure, especially after losing the derby. So there could be potentially an opening, but I just don't think Allegri is gonna take them there.
Craig, who makes the top four first, Chelsea or Manchester United?
Well, I think United will definitely change manager. Maybe they won't, but I think they will. I'm going to say Man United.
Final question, Gab. It's a zombie apocalypse. Which member of the ESPN FC team is making it the longest? Wow, let's think.
Ooh.
Stevie's got no chance.
What do you mean?
survive
I don't understand.
So who will live the longest? If it's a zombie apocalypse,
Right.
and you've got to try and survive,
Yeah.
who will survive? Stevie, no.
Okay, yeah, I think we can safely rule out rule
Well, he
out
won't get out of his
Stevie.
bed. Die in his bed.
Shaka's the most educated out of all of us, but I just don't know that his skills
Hey, he never
necessarily
even went to-
translate to survival skills in the wilderness. I
I've
like
seen
to
Xhaka
imagine
run
that it would
recently.
probably be Robbo because
No chance.
no, I reckon it's going to be Robbo because he would just get into his little boat and he would just start rowing.
As long
And
as
just
you weren't
row
in it with
away
me.
from all the zombies.
Oh, yeah.
That'd be and that would be rubble. They'll think he's one of them.
Yeah.
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 He's on our side.
Craig will be like, you think I'm bothered you're a zombie? What are you going to do?
Well, he'd be like that,
Well,
wouldn't he?
I
The
think you'd
zombies.
survive, Dan. Dan would survive. He'd slither under a little rock, as he normally does.
Yeah, exactly. I'd poke the bear and then run away.
Yeah, exactly.
Hide behind Nadem. Come on, you go. Yes, exactly.
They wouldn't attack you, would they, the zombies? You'd be too busy putting your vacation in, wouldn't you? So, do you mind? Just hold on a second, William.
Just wait a minute. There we go.
Just get booked in a couple of weeks.
I think that's enough now. That's it. That brings us to the end of today's show.